At the center of the augmented reality industry lies one company. It's Gravity Jack. And they've been the secret pioneer in the augmented reality and virtual reality space since the early 2000s. Gravity Jack has worked with a plethora of Fortune 500 companies to create the augmented reality experiences you've seen and used today. And after a long wait, they've finally begun their first ever public stock offering. Gravity Jack invites you to join them. They'll continue to be at the center. Find them on startengine.com.
What's going on?
Donald Duck?
That's my duck call. I didn't bring my duck call.
What were you doing?
You'll make sense of it. Just hold on. It's coming.
He always says that.
Hey y'all, welcome to Cross Politics on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Pastor Toby Chuck Knox. I'm the Water Boy. It's good to be with you.
The annual Fight Laugh Feast conference is just around the corner. What's the
Anybody who registers at this point, you can still register. You just don't get your nice name on the tag. You get a nice tag. You just got to mark your name on the tag.
You got to write it by hand.
Because we've been telling you for months.
But you can still sign up.
You can still sign up.
Yes. There's still room.
You still get a nice tag. You just got to mark it on.
We're at the Ark Encounter this year in Kentucky. Festivities are kicking off like they do every year with beer and psalms the first night. Come learn to sing psalms, meet a bunch of new friends. And then, of course, we've got Ken Ham speaking. I'll be giving a talk. Yep. I've been working on my talk, by the way.
Good.
I've been
thank you.
Yeah, I actually been working on it. We're all happy for that. Just so you know, I'll have a little bit prepared at least, a little bit. We got Pastor Doug, of course, giving some talks. We got Dr. Gordon Wilson from Right in the Dance fame giving some talks. I've been thinking about that conversation we had with Gordon. You missed it.
It was really good.
There was some stuff he said about fossil formation.
Some great nuggets.
That was I don't know, why are we not talking about this more?
Wait, y'all talked to Gordon without me?
Yeah. He's got a new book out too.
Y'all give me a copy?
I did. Did I hand you one?
Okay,
somewhere
did he
around
sign
here.
it?
I gave it to you. No.
But we've got Joe Rigney coming. We got Michael Foster coming.
Yep.
Who am I missing? Who else is giving a talk at the regular
live show?
And then we got the live show on Christian nationalism.
Joel Webbin.
Right. Yeah. And Josh Bice.
Wait, no.
Scott Aniel. No.
Oh,
no.
Oh, but we'd love to have you. You're welcome. We'd love to have you. Just free tickets. Come on this. Anyways,
we'll work it out.
Everything starts in Genesis. Everything is built out of Genesis 1, 2, and 3. You got God's creation, design. You've got male, female. You got marriage. You got family. You got society. You got the church.
Everything.
And you got the fall.
Yes.
And you got the promise of the Messiah. All of it's there.
The proto-evangelion.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I see God right there.
Man, you speaking in some tongues.
If you start messing with the days of creation, you messed with it all. And you done messed up, A.A. Ron.
Hey, look at us.
I don't even need
we got our own stingers.
Anyways, October 11th through the 14th, come rock with us at the Ark Encounter. Go to fightlaughfeast.com, buy your tickets, sign up today. Zach Dasher is the nephew of Phil and Cy Robertson of Duck Dynasty. Oh, that's why you're making weird noises in the mic.
I should have brought my duck call today, too, and I didn't.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Right. Do that sound again? Because it didn't. Yeah, no, that's nothing like the duck call. Nothing like a duck call.
Some bones cracking.
Zach, stop it, please. Zach's a former Republican congressional candidate.
What? I didn't know that.
And is producer of the upcoming film, upcoming this week.
Yeah.
The Blind.
Go see it.
Which is telling the story of Phil Robertson.
Uncle Phil.
And Kay, Miss Kay. And
not Uncle Phil from, now this is a story all about how Uncle Phil from the Duck Dynasty.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Why don't you sing that song, Gabe?
No.
Okay,
How about he not?
You're probably right.
All right. It's dropping on Thursday in theaters all over the country. We're going to talk to Zach about this in a minute. But first, here's the trailer.
Here are these rare stories of how the impossible happened.
Miss Kay Caraway.
I feel.
Well,
Promise to love
And be with you forever.
this is one of those stories.
You can do just about anything you set your mind to, Phil Robertson. But it's the drink. He becomes the devil's side. You know that ain't your brother.
I ain't bringing the preacher man around here.
I heard you might be needing one.
We're fine.
I don't think we are, Phil.
I ain't the problem. You're the problem. Get out.
At some point in our lives, we are all going to feel desperately alone. And we realize that we ain't never alone. Someday, you're gonna have to fight for your marriage. And things get tough. Guess what you do? You fight.
You must be one of Kay's friends. I know Phil ain't got no good-looking friends.
This is my sister.
Well, no, I was just being friendly.
Why don't you be friendly in that direction over there?
Yeah, okay.
The Blind, coming to theaters near you on Thursday.
Man.
This Thursday.
Go check it out.
September 28th. So, Zach, thanks for joining us on Cross Politic, man.
Man, thanks for having me, guys. What a pleasure.
Well, so you are the producer of this film. You also you're tied. These are the story of your Uncle Phil and you know your extended family. Obviously, you love your family. Obviously, you care. You know you love the story here. But why do you think this story in particular needs to be told?
You know, you were in the intro. You were talking about everything begins in Genesis, and one of the things that I wanted to do with this film is you know, I feel like you get this arc in biblical narration of creation. You mentioned that creation, fall, redemption, restoration,
Right.
And I just think that so many of the of films that tell the story of the gospel, we tend to whitewash the fall part. And so we really wanted to hone in on, I feel like Phil's story is just, there's some tough stuff in it. And so we're trying to walk that line of how do we show his depravity? How do we show, you know, the mess that he got himself into without kind of like insinuating it, but kind of sitting in it for a moment. If you're a Duck Dynasty fan and you think this is a Duck Dynasty show, it's not that at all. I mean, it's not that kind of, it's a very serious film, but I think we need to see that people can be redeemed, that people can be healed in a culture that is just full of accusations. And everywhere you turn around, I think that we need a message of hope. I think people need to realize that you don't have to stay dead in your sins, that you can turn to the living God and find healing, find life, and find Him.
What struck me when so Zach sent me a screener.
Hey, thanks, Zach.
Last week,
Thanks for sending us
I
all
got you guys a screener.
Okay.
Zach hooked you up too.
It was a little late. I have to admit that was Gabe's fault. He
Thank you, Zach.
Yes, we know. It was his fault.
And the bus came. I knew the bus was going to come. But when I watched the movie, it struck me how big of a jerk or how bad of a dude Uncle Phil really was.
Yeah.
And I got other words I want to use, but he was a bad dude.
Those words would be accurate. I mean, yeah, it was funny when we got the first cut back of this film, and this was my first film, so I didn't really know what to expect, but we got the first cut back, and I was like, whoa! I mean, there was nothing redeemable about Phil. I mean, it was difficult because he was a bad guy. I don't even think we really showed how. I mean, obviously we didn't show how deep his depravity really was, but I mean, he was as bad as you can get. I can promise you that. He was horrible.
I was as a filmmaker.
Love you, Uncle Phil.
Yeah.
Love you, man.
I love you.
You just lost your Christmas presents. I was just.
We're not that kind of family. We don't give Christmas presents. He's not the lovey-dovey uncle. We don't. So I'm not risking anything on that.
Okay, so I see how it is.
Yeah.
So as a filmmaker, one of the things that you're always happy about. I mean, you guys have a big name, a big brand. And I was noticing that it seems like it's just you guys doing this. Did you have any other studios that wanted to come in with you guys? Anybody else who wanted to be a part of promoting? Because it sounds like it's a strictly Christian film, but with your brand, I would expect to see everybody all over this.
No, we didn't have a lot of support in that way. I think anytime you do an explicitly faith film, particularly when it's not, I mean, I felt like the gospel presentation, it didn't have that feel of being preachy. It was like, hey, here's what happened.
Yeah.
Like you could have come to your own conclusion. Like we're just telling you what happened. And I think that kind of film it's not going to be something that's going to be prime for production partners. And we had a few production partners, I will say, but this is something that we put together. We wanted to make sure that the story was told correctly. Phil wanted to make sure that it wasn't watered down. He said, I want them to see who I was, and they're not going to understand the grace of God if they don't understand how bad I was. I mean, you got to show the fall to appreciate God's grace. And so Phil was pretty adamant about telling the story for real and being true to it.
I think to kind of piggyback on Knox, you're doing a Fathom event. It seems like all the normal movie channels didn't pick you guys up. And again, back to you're a big Duck Dynasty brand. Did you have a hard time kind of getting this into the theaters?
Fathom, we looked at several other options. Fathom was what we felt like was the best route for us. A lot of it was just, there wasn't any offers on the table. We made the film. And we had a great product. I just think that the nature of these kind of films are going to be more difficult. But I mean, Fathom was very gracious in saying, hey, they've never done this before. Well, I think they may have done it maybe with The Chosen, but Fathom typically is known for doing events, like one day event.
Right.
One of the things that they're wanting to do, though, is they're wanting to get into more extended theatrical releases, which is what they've offered us here. Another reason why we went with Fathom was because if we have a lot of our audiences in rural America, that may shock you guys, but most of our audience is in like the middle of nowhere. A lot of our audience is in the middle of nowhere, and they are also allowing us to if you have a church that's not within a 30-mile radius of a theater, then we can actually you can actually host the film in your church. So we wanted to take this broad into the people, and so we felt like just all the way around, it felt like a great fit for us. And so we were in like 1,800 theaters, and maybe more by the time Thursday gets here. So we have a very wide release. We have an opportunity, so at this point, it's like, we're just telling people, if you want to see more movies like this, then go vote with your, by buying a ticket. I mean, you guys are in the content business too.
Right.
And so, I know y'all understand this as well as I do, that like people have to support these kind of projects if they want to see more. I mean, it's difficult. Number one, it's difficult as an independent filmmaker. It's even more difficult as an independent filmmaker who's trying to make Christian art. I mean, that's even more difficult to get it out there. So I know that resonates with what you guys are doing for sure.
Absolutely. We talk about that a lot on the show, and we encourage people. I mean, we try to highlight what other Christians are doing.
And we've even said, if you can't go to the theater, buy a ticket anyways.
Yeah,
like help
real.
out.
For real. And that's really great to know also about the opportunity. If people wanted to host something at their church, how would they do that, Zach?
So they would go to our website, theblindmovie.com, and there's like a tab on that website that says, I think it says host at my church. I mean, it may be that on the nose. I can't remember. It's pretty self-explanatory, whatever it is. It's you go to the blindmovie.com, and then you can hit that button and you'll fill it out. You'll fill out like a form, and then someone will contact you. So, but it's been crazy. I mean, it's insane how many messages that we've received since we announced we were doing this. I mean, hundreds of thousands, and people. It's just funny that how people they're telling their own stories of, hey, I've been an alcoholic for 20 years and just got sober, and or my son's whatever, and I want them to see this film. I mean, it's really convicting when you see how desperate people are and how ripe our culture actually is for the seeding of the gospel. I mean, I do think we're actually in some interesting times right now.
I want you to talk a little bit more about that, Zach. Actually, one of my questions that I was going to ask you is, how is this story for this moment? I mean, I know this sort of, providentially, this is your uncle's story for right now, but like in your mind, as you're telling the story as a Christian filmmaker and artist, and you're thinking, I want to impact people. I want to hit them where they are. We're living in, crazy clown world. We got drag queens doing story hour in libraries. We got kids getting chemically castrated. We got people that are all kinds of confused. We don't even Biden's doing his thing. I mean, all these things. Given that context, how is this story for this moment?
When you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that I ran for Congress, and I did in 2014, and I've done some other things in politics, and I can't remember who said this. I think I heard Nancy Pierce. I think Nancy Pierce told me this, or a few years back. But I heard this in 2016. Not audibly, but I just kept ringing in my ear as I was in the middle of kind of the political battle. And I kept hearing this phrase: politics is downstream of culture. Not that it doesn't matter. It does matter. I'm not saying that at all, but it's downstream of culture. And I think that what shapes culture, part of what shapes culture is stories, the stories we tell each other, what happens through art and entertainment. I mean, you want to talk about formative practices, like what really forms a person. Man, look at your kid, not your kids, but look at kids in America today. What's forming them is TikTok and Instagram. And that's where their hearts are being incubated. And that's where their hearts are being, indexed towards, the songs of Babylon rather than the songs of Zion. And so I think where we're at right now in this cultural moment is we're in a place where people are under the most unbelievable weight of condemnation and shame. We coined the phrase, or somebody coined the phrase, the cancel culture. What is that? It's an accuser. It's constant accusation, and something that you did when you were 25 years old can come back to haunt you when you're 65 years old, and you can actually be ostracized from society, marginalized, cast out, and there's no hope for that person. And I think that the majority of people in Western culture are living under this fear of shame. Because here's the truth. You can write books about how great you are, and we can go read some self-motivation books and about how great we are. But in the back of our mind, I think we all know the truth, right? I know the truth about myself. I'm not a good guy. I know that. I know that I'm depraved. I know that I'm morally bankrupt. There's it's the Romans 3. I know that about myself, and I think that everybody knows that about themselves if they're being honest. And what this story is, it's Phil airing his dirty laundry. It's Phil saying, "Look, if God can redeem me, if God can take a wretch like me," and Phil always says, "Hey, if he can use the Apostle Paul, who was Saul of Tarsus, to write the majority of the New Testament, the guy that was killing Christians, if he can use that guy to write the majority of the New Testament, I think his grace is big enough to heal a guy like me, redeem a guy like me, make a guy like me clean." And if that's true, man, that can be true for anybody. So I think that's what I think is so important about this film in a time such as this.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. I was just thinking of Romans 8 as you're talking. There's therefore no condemnation. What a word for our moment.
Oh man,
right? You think about. I can't agree with you more. 65 million dead babies in our land.
Yeah.
How many people are suffocating under the weight of that guilt and that shame, and downstream through generations too, where now you've got grandmas, that aborted brothers and sisters and babies, and you got moms and dads and all, and you got pornography all over the place, and you've got, promiscuity, and now you got all this, madness, sexual madness and insanity. And I think that's a good word.
And I think too, there's an assumption, I think, in the Christian world that if we make a critique good enough, that people know where to take their shame. And I don't think that's true.
Right.
I don't think that's true. I think we need to remind people that the arms of Christ are open, and that's where you take the shame to.
Right.
That's who you go to when you've fallen, when you've sinned, and when you're that person, you look in the mirror and see Romans 3 and the law of God convicts you. Christ is there to accept you, though. That's where you take your shame to. And I think we need to do a better job of doing that, of reminding people that the gospel is for such as you, right?
Right.
And so I appreciate what you said there, brother. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, how long is it going to be in Fathom?
Man, that's a great question. So right now we're guaranteed one whole week. So if you want to watch it, I would say get your tickets now. If it performs well, I think that they'll extend us out at least another week, but then this massive tidal wave of Taylor Swift is coming after that. So I'm assuming we'll be kicked out of theaters then. I told Phil that was going to happen, and he said Taylor Swift. I've never met him, so Phil didn't know who Taylor Swift was.
I like him more.
Yeah, I know.
But we're guaranteed a week. We got 1 week. Starting September 28th.
So go out to the theaters.
If ticket sales are high, they'll go up the next week.
Push it. We want to push it. We want to get this as much time as we possibly can. Let me read this ad. Then one of you guys got a question. Home, it's where you build your legacy, where traditions are started, seeds are planted, meals are shared, and stories are told. Home is where you prepare to go out into the world. Finding the home that's perfect for your family is a big job. Story Real Estate is Moscow's top real estate team. They give people real estate advice all over the country. Family homes, investments, land, new construction, or commercial. They know real estate. If you've thought about a move to Moscow or anywhere in the country, reach out and get connected with a Story Real Estate agent. Wherever you're going, they can help guide you home. Visit storyrealestate.com.
Zach, I'd like to actually ask you kind of like a broader question about the Duck Dynasty brand. You guys are in Louisiana, and you've been around the Duck Dynasty brand. When did it start? When did it go?
It's Duck Dynasty was the show. The brand is Duck Commander, and it started, I believe, in 1972. I thought I had a hat in here that had the date on it, but I can't find it. I thought I had a duck call too when you were trying to do your duck call.
Yeah,
that was not a duck call, Zach.
You could have helped me.
You know that wasn't no duck call.
He said try. He said when you tried.
Well, I'm all about redemption. I wanted to redeem what you were doing.
I see that. Keeping the arms open for him. I see what
arms open, man. I'm open.
So Uncle Phil started Duck Commander in like early 70s.
Yeah, early 70s.
And then when did it really start gaining traction?
So, yeah, it's kind of interesting. Phil was like the original reality TV guy before that was a thing. There was a guy who was friends with Phil who bought a video camera and was like, "Hey, man, let's video you in a duck blind with." I hope I'm not butchering this story. So but there was I think his name was Coco, some Cajun guy from South Louisiana, and they just filmed themselves in a duck blind, duck hunting. But what made it different? It was how you would really act in a duck blind. It wasn't like rehearsed or canned or or didactic. It was like literally just Phil, and Phil's like a marketing genius. He doesn't try to be, he just is. Like one of the funny stories when he got endorsed by Benelli Shotguns, and they sent their whole crew there. They'd written this big commercial for him, and they said, "We want you to film this commercial. Here's your lines." And Phil's like, "Nah, I'm not doing any lines." He said, "Get your cameras rolling. You got one take." And he got up and he grabbed the shotgun, and just off the cuff, he says, "The best shotgun is the one that goes boom, boom, boom."
Yep.
And just stopped. And they're like, "Whoa, that was amazing." And so he could just he could just rattle off these things that were these one-liners that were just like hilarious, amazing, powerful. And the videos blew up. And that's when he really became. And then they also got a deal with Walmart, which always helps when you get a deal with Walmart. And so by the time I was really paying attention in the 90s, when me and Jeff were in middle school and high school, they were rolling, man. He was the guy. He was the guru of duck hunting. He was the Bill Dance of duck hunting. He's the guy. And and it kind of all started from there. Oh, I'll tell you this story. You guys will love this. So he was inducted. This is when the ministry blew up. He was inducted into the Louisiana Sportsman's Hall of Fame.
Right.
And he's standing down in Baton Rouge, and there's like all these guys out there, and it's a rough crew. And he's standing there, and he gives his duck golf presentation. And the way Phil tells the story, he just looked down in his Bible, in his bag where he puts his duck calls, and he sees his Bible. And he was like, "I just felt conviction from the Holy Spirit that I got to tell him about Jesus." And so he pulled out his bag, his Bible, and he said, "Boys, before y'all leave, I've got one more thing to tell you." Of course, they're all like, "Yeah." And he said, "I stand before you tonight beneath the sign, King of Beers, because there's a Budweiser sign on top of his head.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yeah. And he says, but I'm here to tell you about the King of Kings. And so
I got goosebumps. Come on now.
He just brought the gospel, and Phil is 100% sold out on 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 1 through 4.
Yeah.
And he gave them the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. And from that moment on, people started calling his house and we're like, dude, what did you say to my husband that night? He's a different man. What happened at this thing?
Wow.
And then all these, we were in the Church of Christ, and so they wouldn't use Phil. So all the other, like the Baptist churches and the Methodists, they all started calling Phil to come speak at these wild game feasts. And so that's how the ministry started. So
Wow.
Man, I just have to know. So this is your first film, and you got your official taste of filmmaking. Do you already have your eye on your next film, or what? How are you guys looking at it? If this does well, then you move on to something else, or what's your plan?
Yeah, we've got a couple other films that we're working on. None are they're a little more just kind of like family fun entertainment, which is also needed. I mean, it's not everything has to be explicitly on the nose. And one of the things I would encourage Christian, filmmakers and podcasters, and I mean, like you guys do a great job at this. It's not. I mean, you're having fun, you're having conversations. It doesn't have that all have to be that thing. And Christ, when he infiltrates the culture, I mean, or the cultural mandate is to. I mean, we're to create art everywhere we go. So I'll say that to say this: that we're working on a couple family friendly films. One's kind of like a modern day Bigfoot story that's real kind of funny and the kids will love. And then another one is about a baseball team that a bunch of misfit kids that went on to win the Little League World Series. So those are kind of our two front runners right now. We got a handful of others in development as well that we're looking at.
I love. I was telling the boys earlier before we got you on, Zach, but my family owns the complete seasons of Duck Dynasty. Gabe didn't even know all their names. For the record,
I couldn't rattle off.
He didn't even know
with you, Gabe?
Uncle Phil.
He didn't even know Miss K's name.
I said, I mean,
yeah. Anyways, but I mean, but seriously,
Pastor Toby took that personal. Just so you know.
We've watched hours and hours of it. But I mean, one of the fun things about it is that it was your family having fun. Like your family doing your family things, all the goofball things, and I know a bunch of it's probably written up, in scripts and stuff, and they play things up and all the rest of it. But seriously, it was a bunch of rednecks having a good time, running into trouble and everything else, but just being themselves, but at the same time, you're Christians. And I think like it wasn't like every like the shows aren't all gospel presentations at all, but there was the thing about that you always end the show with the saying grace at the table, and but I think that's something that's very much needed in entertainment is Christians who know where the lines are, and then within those lines in God's big world. They're having a blast. Yeah. They're having the best time of their lives because this is their Father's world. This place belongs to God. It belongs to Christ, and so they're having the best time. And it's not like it's the best time because everything turns into a gospel presentation. Right. It's because the gospel's true, yes, but they're having the best time because God made this place. He made all the best stuff. All the best stuff belongs to Him. And so Christians, if we know God, if we know Him, then we should be the ones telling the best stories, the best jokes, having the best adventures. So I hope that there are many more stories in your future, Zach. And y'all need to go out to the theaters this week and go watch The Blind if it's showing near you, or get it at your church or something. Just buy a ticket, even if you can't make it.
Theblindmovie.com. Go to theblindmovie.com. You can get tickets there. You can get group tickets there, and you can click the link to bring it right to your church. And do what I do when I don't find the theater next to me that might have it, because I'm out here in Moscow, Idaho. By the way, you guys should have it out in this rural area, Zach. I'm just saying. And
are we not in your area?
And I haven't put my name in all the information to find out, but I haven't seen any promos for it yet out here. But I'll find out, and it doesn't matter if it's not I'm still going to give my money to somebody's theater So to see you guys get at least more than a week inside of the showing.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it, fam.
Zach, thank you very much for joining us on Cross Politic, man.
Thank you, guys.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic.
It is the duty of the free man to resist tyranny at every turn. Every man will either watch his freedom stripped away or take action to protect what he loves. Introducing the A3, the newest revolutionary body armor from Armored Republic. The A3 is the new standard for lightweight multi-hit body armor. A3 plates are incredibly light at 4.6 pounds. The patented design captures fragmentation while remaining multi-hit capable. The A3 will stop up to M80 ball, yet comes in at only 0.7 inches thick. The A3 is the thinnest NIJ .06 compliant or certified composite standalone plate that includes the drop test. The A3 is the first of its kind, patent pending, that combines an alloy strike face with polyethylene backing, revolutionizing body armor technology by providing strength and durability while remaining sleek and maneuverable. The A3 is the new standard in lightweight body armor. The fight against tyranny just got stronger.